In the early 90s, alarm bells were ringing. As we began to understand more about where kiwi populations remained in the wild and the threats they faced, we started to realise that not many of the chicks were making it to adulthood. Because of predation, as well as other natural causes, only half of the kiwi eggs laid in unmanaged areas were surviving. In the early 1990s, we learned that kiwi populations were halving every 15 to 20 years, and we faced the dreadful prospect of kiwi becoming extinct on the mainland in our lifetime. Researchers also found out that about 70% of kiwi chicks are killed by stoats or cats before 6 months, and another 20% die of natural causes or from other predators. Only 10% of wild chicks were surviving to 6 months, and only half of those reached adulthood. Something had to be done. And it was. In 1994, BNZ Operation Nest Egg was born. It's pure genius. And simple. Eggs, and sometimes chicks, are lifted from kiwi burrows in the wild and whisked away to be raised safely in captivity, before being returned to their home in the wild when they're big enough to fend off stoats.
The very first time with Operation Nest Egg, we raised the chicks to put onto an island without predators, the reason being just to see how they adapted back into the wild. And then the following year, when we found out that was quite successful, we released them back into areas where stoats were naturally occurring and monitored them through transmitters. We're now producing about 150 kiwis per year through Operation Nest Egg. Once these Operation Nest Egg birds get to breeding age, they've been pairing up with wild kiwi, and in fact they've produced 3rd and 4th generation kiwis. Operation Nest Egg can be quite expensive, but it's a very, very good tool for building up populations very quickly. We believe the cost of Operation Nest Egg will be coming down, particularly using smart transmitters, by using creches, and with new institutes coming on board wishing to participate.
Ideally, eggs are taken halfway through the incubation stage, usually when the male kiwi has left the burrow to feed. Timing is important because the male may put up a fight to defend his egg, and the scuffle may accidentally crack or break it. The first thing the kiwi worker does is candle the egg to see if it is viable and check its age. This clever technique uses a torch to silhouette the contents of the egg and show what stage of development the embryo is at. If it's younger than 10 days, the worker puts the egg back, then watches the burrow to make sure the male doesn't desert it. The workers come back when the egg is at least 45 days old and repeat the candling process. If the embryo is alive, the egg is transported to a special facility where it is incubated. New Zealand currently has 6 specialised BNZ Operation Nest Egg facilities set up to care for kiwi eggs and chicks. Andrew Nelson oversees the Operation Nest Egg program at Auckland Zoo.
Every morning the staff will come down and monitor the eggs, and we'll weigh them just to make sure the embryos are losing weight.
So I've noticed you've got those penciled lines. It looks like you guys have been drawing on the eggs. What's that about?
We have been drawing on the eggs. The lines there mark the air cell, and as the embryo is developing, the air cell increases in size.
Why is it so important for you guys to be involved with kiwi conservation?
I think the team here worked really hard to get the Operation Nest Egg chicks through and reared and really healthy. And for these birds to have a really good future, we need everyone else to help us create some really good habitat.
Kiwi Encounter staff also have many years of experience in incubating kiwi eggs.
Kiwi Encounter has been involved in Operation Nest Egg actually for the last 10 years. Since 2004 here in this facility, when it became known as Kiwi Encounter, but prior to that as Rainbow Springs. So far this season we've hatched 106 chicks. We've still got a few more eggs in the incubator and more eggs due to come in, so we're looking at hopefully doing about 120, 125 chicks this season.
Care must be taken while removing eggs from a nest and transporting them to the hatching facility.
Got a kiwi nest here that we're going to take some eggs out and pack them for transport. The important thing is just to pull them out of the nest as you find them and then centre them on a flat surface before you pack them. They have to be the right way for transport, or else sometimes you can get membrane damage. Just make sure that that's centered properly. So the lid of the carry box will suffice. It's important to make sure that they're firmly packed. Often a good idea to pack them in, say, a possum wool sock or a beanie, just to make sure that they're kept nice and warm. But being firm so they can't move as they're being transported is really important. There's a second egg in here. It's a good position for transport. Pack it in firmly. So this is just to show anything will suffice, but sponge base is excellent with a cutout for an egg. Just making sure that they're firm. And now the important thing to carry them is not to juggle them around, or make sure if it's very rough ground you've got somebody to pass them to.
Once at the hatching facility, eggs are candled again to ensure they are alive and to record the age of the embryo. They then complete their incubation in an artificial incubator.
Occasionally we do need to x-ray the eggs during Operation Nest Egg incubation, and that's because we think that the chick might be malpositioned. It does happen, but what we've got here is an x-ray of a chick in perfect hatch presentation, all ready to go. So we can see the lovely outline of the back line going to the base of the skull, that's here, and the bill going straight up into the air cell. We can also see the legs in the correct position here. The hips are based here. So this chick is actually in perfect presentation for hatch.
As eggs come close to hatching, they may wriggle on the bench in response to a soft whistle. Hatching is not easy for the tiny chick, as kiwi do not have an egg tooth to break the shell. The tiny birds have to push with their feet, and it can take 5 days for the exhausted chick to finally emerge. Chicks are fully feathered miniatures of adult kiwi. In the first few days of life, they do not eat, surviving off the nutrients in the yolk sac provided by their mother's huge egg. They commonly lose weight. In 2007, Auckland Zoo hatched its 150th BNZ Operation Nest Egg chick. Michelle, what's this and what have we got in here?
This is one of our brooders, and we have a 6-day-old chick. And it's actually a very special chick. It's Auckland Zoo's 150th Operation Nest Egg chick.
At this vulnerable stage, chicks must be weighed and kept warm in the small brooder for a few days prior to being transferred to the brooder boxes. Special diets are prepared to help them grow as fast as possible once they begin to feed. Chicks remain in the warm brooder boxes for the first 2 weeks, where they receive regular checks and are encouraged to feed. Once they are feeding and gaining weight, they are put into outdoor pens where they learn to probe for food, while still filling up on an artificial diet. The next important stage of their life takes place in a kiwi crèche, but before they move, each chick is treated for parasites and has a comprehensive health screen. Because kiwi chicks are so vulnerable when they've hatched, they're often taken to predator-free areas or crèche sites, like Limestone Island here behind me, where they stay until they reach around 1 kilo in weight, and at that point they're able to fend off stoats, but they're still vulnerable to dogs and ferrets. There are a number of kiwi crèches throughout the country. Some are predator-free islands, and some are predator-proof fenced areas on the mainland. The chicks stay there until they weigh about 1 kilo, a size when they are better able to defend themselves against stoats. After the chicks have reached the magical safe weight, they are released back onto the mainland where they have a much better chance of survival. By 2007, BNZ Operation Nest Egg had successfully hatched more than 800 kiwi eggs and has been brilliant at buying time for our endangered kiwi populations while longer-term solutions are found. Because it is very labour intensive and expensive, other solutions will be needed in the long term. If those solutions deal with kiwis' predators and other pests, then they will also be helping the ecosystem as a whole, including all the other native species that live there. Thanks to BNZ Operation Nest Egg, more kiwi eggs hatch and chicks are nurtured to a stage where they are able to fend for themselves. For more information about BNZ Operation Nest Egg or about egg candling courses, see BNZ Save the Kiwi website.